And welcome on in. We're live, Sports on the Hill podcast, episode 213. We're here. There's a live Capitals game. If you're following along, Washington is winning 3-1 over Boston. It's about 6:42 left in the second period. We'll be covering that game throughout the night. We'll have an entire Capitals hour about the 9 o'clock hour, so just in about 30 minutes. But for the first 30 minutes, we're going to talk Wizards. We've already got the round table here. I'm going to have them introduce themselves real quickly while I share this to a couple of Wizards rooms. We're going to start off with DC's People's Champ. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well, coming off what was a fun Royal Rumble pay-per-view and an even funner, if that's a word, intro to Twitch streaming with Sif last night, which was a lot of fun. And Robbie, thank you for being on there and showing some love there as well.
Yeah, no, I had a great time on that Twitch stream. I highly encourage it. Tell the people what the Twitch handle is so people can find you guys.
It's twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod. So that's where we are.
Yeah. So, definitely check Champ out if you want to watch a live match with him and Sith, and it's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it. We had Dujane Bland joining us as well. We had a bunch of other people popping through. We're going to try to build that Twitch community over there, which is really cool.
Something apparently happened positive for the New York
Rangers.
Brian.
I will actually announce
Rangers scored.
Yeah, so the Rangers just tied the game 1-1 against Pittsburgh. It's about 2:18 left in the second period on my screen. A big-time goal right there to tie that game. The Rangers will actually be our next opponent, so we may have Brian come on as part of our next segment. So unfortunately, it looks like the Capitals may have just taken a stupid penalty right there. So this game is very feisty in this Caps game. All right, so we got Brian in here now with the Rangers score. We got the wrestling. By the way, Brian had a great podcast today. Also, I've been checking that out. If you want to know his top 5 Super Bowl picks, check that out.
Top 5 Super Bowl halftime shows of all time.
Halftime shows. Yes, I'm sorry. It was a good list. I enjoyed it. I've listened to it now. I won't give any spoilers. So check that out. Arun is our next guest. We're going to bring him in right now. Arun, how are you doing tonight?
Not bad. I'm assuming Maroon 5 isn't in Brian's top 5.
Absolutely not. Never.
No, yeah, exactly.
And looking forward to
Sounds good. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this share, but of course, Facebook messes up right when you need it to. Tim, the next guest on our podcast, what are your thoughts? How's your week? How's it been?
Oh, it's going great. I'm still riding high over that great win over the Nets last night. I'm still shocked, so happy to be part of the show and talk about that game.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to do what I usually do and share my screen. Let me just pull that up. Hold on. And that way people can take a look at the entire schedule. Sorry, I'm fending off my cat who wants to get my food. So, all right. So we're going to start off with the last game, which is the first one with the John Wall. The Washington Wizards and the Houston Rockets. It was kind of an upsetting game just because I thought it would be a little bit closer. John Wall didn't play as well as I had expected. He was talking a lot of trash before the game that this was going to be his revenge. I thought he played okay, but the reality is it just was a team effort, and I thought as a team the Rockets just looked better than the Wizards in this one. I'm going to go through all 3 losses real quickly and my fast take on it, and then I'm going to give each one of our guest members a game to talk about where they could break it down a little bit further, just to go through it a little faster than each one of us talking about each game. Then we'll all talk about the one win of the week. So that was the Rockets game. The next one was the Pelicans game, which was also disappointing because I thought that they really had an opportunity going into this game to get a win. But the Pelicans put up 35 points to the Wizards 18 in the first quarter, and they were just trying to play catch up from there. They played pretty decent throughout the rest of the game, but it was just too sizable of a lead in my mind for them to ever truly overcome. It was fairly even throughout the rest of the game in terms of scoring. But again, giving a team that much of a pad to start a game is always dangerous, especially when you're on the road. The next matchup after that one was the Hawks game. That one, the Hawks started off pretty well. They played a solid first half. They continued to pour it on in the third, and the Wizards were able to play decent in the fourth quarter, but at that point, again, it was too far gone. So it's another situation where the score early kind of dictated the final score in the sense that they couldn't get over the hump that was in the first couple of games. So we're going to start off. I'll give Champ the first game. Which one do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about this Hawks game because one of the things that's not talked about much was the fact that the Wizards played the majority of this game without two very important pieces. That was Robin Lopez, who got double teed early on in the game and was ejected, and then Westbrook, who caught two tees early and got ejected. And so you were playing without your those two players. So Beal basically had to put the game on his back like he seems to always do. But another thing he couldn't do was score 30 plus points. So that streak ended. And then the other story of this game was what seems to be always the thing about this team. That's defense. They go out there and they want to go out there and try to trade buckets with teams, but they got to realize that you got to stop teams from scoring. You can't just go out there and try to trade buckets because I don't think you got the talent enough to trade buckets with everybody. So basically, when you lose two of your starters very early in the game, and then you don't go out there and play defense, that's why they lost the game. They lost by 16. It was almost like they never led in this game, the Wizards. So that was the story of this game.
Yeah. All right, Arun, I'm going to give you, since I know none of us spent a lot of time watching the Pelicans, but I'm going to give you that game just because we're going to kind of work backwards. But what were some of your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, as you pointed out, the Pelicans were blowing out the Wizards pretty early in this one, and essentially the Wizards dug a hole too deep. Bradley Beal scored 47 points. It took him 37 shots, and then as Ken pointed out in the group chat, Beal broke the record for most 40-point games with losses. So that's not a great stat to have. I saw a lot of people after the game saying that, Beal's definitely going to want out. I don't know. Maybe he still wants to stick around. I don't know if he wants to eat his way out of town like James Harden yet. That still remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about some of that because that chatter continued on even in last night's game when they were losing earlier in the game. There was talk that he was standoffish, that he wasn't with the team, but they found a way to come together and win. We'll talk about a pretty cool stat in the next game when we break that one down, but they were able to kind of pick themselves up. So I don't know if he wants out or if he was just trying to be standoffish to force the other team to realize that they need to come and, put their effort in as well. So who knows? But it was definitely an interesting matchup here. Tim, what game do you want to break down of the three?
I can break down the Rockets game.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, this was a real emotional game, I think, for the guys on the floor and for a lot of the Wizards fans and Rockets fans because of the trade. You could tell there was a lot of trash talk between the teams, especially with Westbrook and Wall, and they got teed up, I believe, at the end of the game. Westbrook played really terrible this game. He had a terrible head-to-head matchup against Wall. I mean, like you said, Wall wasn't fantastic, but he did have 24 points, and he was pretty efficient, and he definitely looked healthier in this game. But it was a classic Wizards competitive performance, but then they completely wilt in the fourth quarter. And Beal scored a lot of points, but he wasn't hitting key shots in the fourth quarter. And they really got ran out of town at that point. So I turned it off a little bit early because it was really kind of crushing at the end. But, Houston isn't even a great team this year. They probably won't make the playoffs. So this was another disappointing one. But again, the roster was pretty depleted because of COVID in this game. And, they just didn't look very healthy or fresh. So
yeah,
it was a pretty big loss.
Yeah, I think so too. Brian, do you have any thoughts on this game or any of the other games?
No, honestly, not really, because I honestly didn't see any of these games other than the Nets game. But I thought it was interesting when they played against John Wall, and like you guys said, that was obviously a really an emotional game for the Wizards, I'm sure. And as far as the Hawks games goes, I kind of expected them to at least be competitive. In fact, last week when we were talking about the Wizards, I said that would be the game they'd win this week. And I was wrong. I did start watching that game, but it got ugly quickly. Honestly, Atlanta looked much better than the Wizards in this game. I thought, and they were getting Rui Hachimura and a few other players back, so I thought they'd have a chance, but no, Atlanta pretty much blew them out. But I think the Nets game. I think we should all talk about the Nets game because that was really exciting.
Yeah, that's a good segue. And I'll, in fact, once I'm done breaking down a couple of things, I'll give you the first crack at it since you are the New Yorker and they are the rival team to your New York team. But it was a really exciting game. I'll be totally transparent with everybody in that I had a date night. So I turned this game off with 4 minutes left when we were down 7 because I was like, I didn't think we were going to do it anyway. And I had promised her we'd watch a movie together. So I stuck true to it. And I said, I DVR'd it so I could rewind it and watch the highlights over and over again. And man, were there some incredible highlights. I missed a really good live basketball game. So, a stat that Brian mentioned earlier on his podcast today that has come out. 2 players scoring more than 37 points on the Wizards at the same, in the same game has not happened since they moved to Washington, D.C. ever. Throughout all the great players that they've ever had, the great tandems, the great trios or whatever, no 2 players have ever scored 37 or more points in the same game. And they needed every one of those points. I mean, in the final moments of the game, Bradley Beal hit a big time 3-pointer and then a big time steal. And then, I just can't believe it was the steal, the pass to Westbrook. Westbrook drains the 3. They end up actually fouling them, and they get 2 more free throws, I believe, by Bradley Beal at the very end. So they're able to get 8 points off in the final 13 seconds. And I hate to say it, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Reggie Miller Pacers situation at the end of that one. But Brian,
thanks, Robbie.
I know, I'm sorry, but it did. It brought back that memory because I've never seen a steal and a 3 and an inbounds and all that. And there's so few games I can think of even similar to that. What were some of your reactions to that? Yeah.
This game was crazy. I really did not expect the Wizards to win this game. Even with James Harden out for the Nets, I still thought the fact that the Nets have Kevin Durant, they have Kyrie Irving, I thought that would be enough. And, honestly, 146 points on most nights would be enough to win in the NBA, but apparently not this night. I actually saw the Nets since they got James Harden, have one of the highest scoring offenses in the history of the league, but they're also giving up the most amount of points in the history of the league. And they let this 18-point lead they had turned into basically nothing. And the comeback at the end by the Wizards, you're right, it is very reminiscent of Reggie Miller, just an absolutely crazy moment. But the Nets did have a chance to win the game at the end as well. I won't say his full name. I'll just say TLC for the Nets. He missed a wide open layup, would have given the Nets the lead with very little time left, but he missed, and Westbrook was fouled. He went to the line, iced the game. But this is obviously, I think after all the terrible stuff that's happened to the Wizards over the last couple of weeks, I'm not a Wizards fan, but I have to say this win probably feels very good for every Wizards fan, especially against a good team like Brooklyn. And the way it happened, just so crazy. A great win for the Wizards, I'd say.
Yeah, and it was Bradley Beal that hit those 2 free throws.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bradley Beal.
But but both of them were clutch in the final moments, and really incredible play by both of them. I was very impressed. I'll let everyone in the roundtable get a second. I know, Carol, you've seen it too, right? So if you want to get your 2 cents in, do you want to give your thoughts on the ending?
Yeah, I definitely did see the ending, and you mentioned the Reggie Miller, spectacle against the Knicks. You got to remember the Tracy McGrady miracle against San Antonio. I posted that video because I was actually watching that game live, and I couldn't believe what I saw what Tracy McGrady did. The same way I couldn't believe what I saw when the Wizards pulled it out against Brooklyn. I just want to know who that dude was trying to inbound the ball to when he got the steal. I rewound it like 3 or 4 times. Did he just fumble the ball and the guy was at the right place at the right time? Or was he trying to pass it? I couldn't tell what happened, but Westbrook with a huge three, swung the momentum, gave him the lead. And I didn't see the end with the guy missing the open layup, but that seems like typical Wizards basketball.
Right. Well, no,
Shout out to
yeah,
Garrison Matthews for the steal too. I forgot to
yeah.
mention that too. What a huge play by Matthews to get that steal.
He played great. I thought him
Yeah.
and Mo Wagner played phenomenal. You know, just both being efficient, good on the defensive end. Both of those players were key in this matchup. I'm going to go to Tim next. Tim, what are some of your thoughts on this crazy comeback?
Well, yeah, I mean, Brooklyn doesn't play much defense, but they had an incredible offensive game too. I think they had 4 guys over 37 and 3 over 40 or something like that. So they lit it up against us. One thing that was crazy about the end was the Wizards not only got the steal and the 3 by Westbrook to take the lead, they also had a Westbrook deflection on the inbound that wasted some time, and they almost lost again even after that because, like Carol said, there was a wide open layup. But the nice thing about the layup was there was about 2 seconds left, so the Nets had to rush it, and they did miss a very makeable shot, which would have been a crushing way to lose for the Wizards. But it was a great win, and you have to love for the Wizards what happened because Westbrook was great. If he really is healthy, like you said in his post game interview, that's a great sign for the team because maybe the beginning of this season was kind of a mirage, and he's actually going to be a much better player. And I just thought, besides Matthews, Denny looked pretty good. Lots of guys played. Lots of guys contributed. I like Wagner playing more minutes. He's a very high energy player. So definitely a feel good win, but really crazy and lucky.
All right, Champ, your quick thoughts, 'cause I do want to get into the schedule ahead. I know we only got about 10 minutes left for the segment.
Yeah, see, I unfortunately didn't get to watch the game itself because I was right in the middle of my Twitch stream of the Royal Rumble, but I did get to see that final sequence. And listen, my jaw was on the floor at how quickly it turned. Like it was 12.8 seconds on the clock, and the team was down by 5. And next thing you know, they were up by 1 in literally 5 seconds. And I just sat there with my jaw on the floor, like, wait, how did that happen again? But it was amazing. It was amazing. I feel like that's another statement win for this team. And I think that's another win that saves Scott Brooks' job for now. Because again, they got to address this defensive situation because they gave up 146 points and they still won because Nets defense is even more trash than theirs. So that's all there is to it. Bottom line, like our defense is trash, theirs is more trash. So that's how that happened. But unbelievable finish, I will say.
You're coming just a little hot. I just wanted to let you know. But Arun, I want to get your take next on this one. I'm going to let my dog out while you do that.
Okay, yeah, the Nets were completely dominating from 3. They were started the game 16 from 29 from 3. The Wizards were only 3 of 18 from 3, and the Wizards basically got back in the game by getting into the paint. Westbrook, ever since he trash talked with John Wall, he's been playing a lot better. He shot 58% from 3 over the last 2 games, even that Hawks game where they lost pretty badly. Only 7 turnovers for the Wizards and 17 by the Nets. On that last play that the Nets missed, Kyrie Irving was actually walking, you're not allowed to walk underneath the basket. So it was fortunate that it would have looked really bad for the officials had they not made that call. But overall, the Wizards, they did a good job increasing the pace in this one and pulling out the win. They have 50% of their wins against the Nets this season, which is pretty, they should have more wins if they can beat the Nets twice. The regular season can't be taken that seriously other than the Wizards just need to play more consistently.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. People were wondering about that. Maybe we're a good matchup for them, or why that is, or maybe we haven't really seen the Wizards team that we expected to see before the season started. So everyone had high hopes, and then we had a bad start. So everyone thought, oh, maybe we didn't know what we were looking at, but maybe who knows what happens? We need a bigger sample size. So it'll be interesting to see how the next couple of games go. So let me just quickly break down the schedule and the upcoming games, and then I'll give each one of you guys a team to talk about. We got the Trailblazers coming to Washington tomorrow. That's Tuesday, 8 p.m. Then Washington plays the Heat twice at home, both on Wednesday and Friday. Those games are both at 8 o'clock. So all three of those games are 8 o'clock. And then on Sunday, we play the Hornets. And that's a Sunday 1 o'clock in the afternoon game. So if people want to watch that before the Super Bowl, they could do that. In fact, on Sunday, you can actually watch the Caps and the Wizards both play games before the Super Bowl. So that's interesting. Real quickly, I'm going to let everyone go down the list. I'm going to start off with Tim. I'm going to give you the Trailblazers and what your thoughts are.
I think it's going to be a really tough game for the Wizards just because the Trailblazers started out very strong this year and have a winning record. I think McCullough's still hurt, so they're not fully healthy. Also, Nurkic is hurt, but they still have Cantor, obviously Lillard and Melo, and a lot of weapons. So Wizards will probably be the underdogs in this one. I will say, though, they do have kind of an advantage being at home because they don't have to travel, but definitely going to be a tough game, and I'd probably pick the Blazers in this one.
Yeah, that makes sense. DC's People's Champ, I'm going to give you the Heat team since we're seeing them twice.
Right. So I'm looking at it right now because the Heat are currently holding on to a 3-point lead right now against the Hornets. Well, now it's a 6-point lead over the Hornets right now as they play in Miami. This team is having a very up and down season. They win some, they lose some. I think that this series right here, like your first game against the Heat, you're not going to have Westbrook because it's going to be coming off a back-to-back. So you know he's going to be out. But then you're going to get him back on the 5th. I think you split this series here with the Heat. You split this back to this home and home series. Well, not home and home series, but these 2 games in a row in Miami series. I think you split them 1-1 because the first game you're not going to have Westbrook, but then you get him back, you'll be able to win it. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
All right, sounds good. Arun, I'll get your take also on the Heat since we're seeing them twice.
Yeah, the Heat have started off pretty slowly this season. They have the same number of losses as the Wizards with 3 more wins, but they did get Jimmy Butler back recently. They have more size down low than the Nets. The Wizards did beat the Heat, I believe, last year without Bradley Beal and Bertans last season. So maybe they can split this series, as Ken said. I think that's would probably be an optimistic view too.
For sure. All right, so I'm gonna get Brian Brennan, the final team, the Hornets. What are your thoughts on playing them on Super Bowl Sunday?
I think the Wizards are actually going to win that game against the Hornets. I think Charlotte is still in a rebuilding mode. LaMelo Ball, the number 3 pick in this year's draft, has been a nice player for them. He actually just got his first career start, but he's put up some absolutely great games for them if you look at his numbers. Terry Rozier's also been a nice surprise for the Hornets a little bit this year. Got a big contract, didn't really live up to it in year 1, but is doing much better in year 2. But overall, I think this is a game the Wizards should win, even though it's on the road in Charlotte. I think it's going to be a tough week with the Trailblazers and the Heat, but I think it'll pay off with this game against Charlotte.
Sounds good. All right, so I'm going to give each one of you guys an opportunity. Well, Arun, Champ, and Tim, that is, because Brian's going to stay on for some more segments with us. Or I don't know, Arun, are you going to stay on for the Super Bowl segment? I wasn't sure about that. You're muted, Arun.
I'm going to sign up too.
Okay, good. All right, so I'll get each one of you guys to give 3 things real fast. A final thought, your thoughts on the record for the week, out of the 4 games, and your Super Bowl prediction, if you would, before we let you go. So I'll start off with Tim. I'll start with Arun.
My prediction for the week is they'll be 1-3. My Super Bowl pick is the Chiefs. And my final thoughts are that I just found out my mom thinks RG3 is trash. and she thinks she should retire. And that's my final thoughts for this evening.
All right, I'm gonna let Tim go and give.
Damn it.
He has to. It's his signature. Tim, as the person who's had RG3 on the team the most recent, I'll let you go next. And what are your thoughts on the Wizards record, the Super Bowl prediction, and any final thoughts you have?
Well, I think the Wizards will actually go 2-2 this week. I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic because I think the win last night could really catapult them into some better play this week. I'm going to also pick the Chiefs in a close, higher scoring game, but I'll give my exact score later this week on Brian's show. And final thoughts.
Damn right you will.
Yeah. I'll shout out to him. I guess my final thought is I want to be on that beach with Arun and Snoop Dogg and RG3 sipping Coronas. It's too cold right now. It's really snowy out. So yeah, let's all find our own beach. I guess. Shout out to Corona too.
Yeah, we'll celebrate RG3's Alamo Bowl anniversary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Tim, and thank you, Arun. I appreciate you both for joining us. And
thanks, man.
We'll talk to you guys next week for more Wizards talk. All right, Champ, I really had a lot of fun on your Twitch earlier on and yesterday. I hope that you continue to do that. Let people know what's on the No Spots podcast this week. Go.
All right, so we got ourselves a recap of the Royal Rumble from yesterday, including a historical first made in the women's Royal Rumble match. We will also recap the week, including the fallout from the Royal Rumble on Raw and on SmackDown, and a New Japan star who said after Wrestle Kingdom that he was done. Well, he's back. We'll talk about all of that this Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, No Spots podcast. By the way, I'm going with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
You're going for the Chiefs and your record for the Wizards also.
2-2. 2-2.
All right. Thank you, Champ. I appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you and definitely check out the No Spots podcast or Upon Further Review with Brian Brennan on our podcast partners button, sportsothp.com. Click that button, the podcast partners. You can click on either of those or Power Play Point podcast as well. We appreciate all of you guys for joining us. We'll talk to you next week on Wizards Talk.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, Champ. Take it easy.
So I guess we can bring in Anna now, and we'll get right into the puck just dropped for the third period. We couldn't have planned that any better, right? 9:00. That's when the puck drops in the third period.
How it goes.
You know, so I appreciate the promptness.
The plan comes together.
Yes. I was like, I got to be the deadlines. I was trying to do math. I was like, what time do I have to start the Wizards segment to let it be over before the third?
And you did it.
We did it. You know, math sometimes works in your advantage. Live sports, you never know. So, well, I appreciate you joining us. We're going to rewind through a really fun week to start off the segment. And then we'll talk about this game. So far, the Capitals are up 3-1. Again, the puck just dropped on the third period. So any live goals? My goal horn's been going off 10 seconds before I've seen it lately.
Oh my God. So that means it's going to be like 45 seconds here.
We'll see. But then one time it was like 30 seconds late. So it's, it's a crap shoot. So
it's all good. I feel it. I don't know. Something about this team that I am just loving the whole vibe.
Sounds good. I'm going to close the door so my dog doesn't get back in and get the rest of my dinner. But while I do that, Carol, why don't you give your opening thoughts for the week, and then we'll get into the week that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was a good week. 3-0. Two good games against the Islanders, and a game that I felt like the Capitals could have, played the whole 60 minutes and didn't have to go to overtime, but we had the heroics from our captain in that game. I was just watching NHL Network, checking out some of the other games around the league, and they were talking about this Capitals team was saying that the COVID protocol violation or whatever you want to call it, that it might be a blessing in disguise for this Caps team because they got some of these, lesser known guys some ice time and got them some goals. And got them going, and now you're getting your, the Russians back. Kuzi still isn't back yet, but Orlov's back tonight. It's Ovi's second game. You still got Oshie playing center. You're getting a lot of quality play from your depth players and your some of your stars are putting in different roles and making it happen even when they were shorthanded with some of the offensive firepower that they have. So it's definitely a good sign for this team. They look like they're ready. They're top of the East. They got points in 9 straight games that they've started. The franchise record, looking for 10 tonight. So it's definitely a good thing to see with this team playing where they're playing.
Yeah, it's been a great week. I couldn't have asked for a better week in my mind. I know people still find ways to nitpick, even a perfect week, which always surprises me. But maybe it shouldn't surprise me at this point. But like you got to just win the game that's in front of you every week. And if you can get a week where you can go 3-0 at any point in the season, you take that week, no matter what happened to get those bumps and bruises, right? Like it's a grind, and you just got to keep on attacking the game that's in front of you. And that's what we've been seeing for the Capitals. So let's rewind it a bit. Let's start at the beginning of the week. Anna, you've got 2 Islanders games to break down, and then we've got the first of this series in Boston, and then we'll break down this live game, and then we'll preview the week ahead. We'll even bring in the voice of Brian Brennan to talk about the Rangers, which I will tell you right now, also on In the Man Cave, that game is tied 1-1 in a very exciting game on NBC Sports Network.
All right, I had just turned it off, so it was 1-0 Penn. So I'm glad. Okay, good. So Brian,
we
actually
in Brian's intro to talk about perfect timing. We had the goal happen for the Rangers. So
there you go. Like you're just on fire tonight.
Yeah, we're just hitting
play
those
the lottery.
Exactly. All right, so let's go back to those Islanders games.
Absolutely. So last Tuesday, the Caps welcomed the Islanders. John Carlson opens the scoring with a power play goal at 11:26, with assists from Schultz and Backstrom. New York ties it up at 15:33 going into the second. Then we have that Barzal scores at 10:01. But 7 minutes later, Sprong scores. So he's that one that we're all kind of cheering for. He scored his first with assist from Carr and Carlson to tie it up. And then finally at 19:33, Schultz scores, assisted by Hathaway and Dylan to give the Caps a 3-2 win. Again, this is one of these ones where I had talked before about the face-off. It was 50-50. So it was better. It was not as bad as we've seen in previous games. But I will say that seems to be that second period shots on goal that Washington just kind of falls apart. But I was glad to see a win, and unfortunately wasn't happy to see that Eller injury, but Vanacek is kicking ass and I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Carol, I'll let you have the first crack at this game.
This was a very entertaining game. Came down to 26 seconds left in the third. And the game winner, I forgot, got to play that quick out here.
Schultz.
Yeah, Schultz. He was playing some lights out hockey. He came down the wing, shot. Should have been stopped, but it had a little bounce on it or something, little action that got past the goalie. The Islanders, Trotz, he was upset after this game with the lackadaisical ending to the game that I guess they felt like it was going to overtime and didn't play a solid defense as they should have for those last 26 seconds. But it was definitely a good inkling of what we're going to see between these two teams through the whole season of them going back and forth. I believe they faced each other 8 times. So, it's definitely going to be interesting. And you mentioned the second period. After this game, the Capitals have very much so improved in the second period. And we'll talk about that in the next game after his thoughts on this.
Right. So I like how the Penguins have become our farm team. And so we use that to our advantage. And they've been able to groom them nicely for us to be able to plug in. And as I heard on today's show on the Power Play Point podcast, once they were dressed in red, they become our own and they become endeared to us. And I agree 100% with some of that rhetoric. And I welcome them with open arms if they can score for the Capitals. And they did. I mean, that goal by Sprong to tie it up after the Barzal took a 2-1 lead, I thought was a momentum shift in this game. And then to not let it go to overtime, which too many games have already gone to overtime and shootout to do that with Justin Schultz's second goal of the season. A great pass by Hathaway. He really feathered in. It kind of reminded me of like a Nicholas Backstrom pass. It was really nice. Give and go. There's also a Brendan Dillon made a good play to set all that up as well. That was his second assist of the season. In addition, I just thought it was a great win, a gutsy win against a hard-fought Trotz team, and I was really excited. Anna, any final thoughts on this one before we go into the next Islanders game?
Yeah, I just think that we're starting to see a team that is giving 100% across the board. You know, we're not always having to look at the Ovechkins, you know, all the time and say, we're going to put, you know, all of our eggs in one basket. These guys have stepped up. But I will say that the whole vibe of this team is outstanding. They just all connect. They're happy. And I think that what we're seeing is a relaxed Capitals team that is into play smart hockey, have fun. They absolutely respect each other. But I feel like they're just playing with this no pressure. And I think that that's just amazing to see. It's like kind of what you need, you know, like that weight lifted off of you, just go in and have a good time. And I think that that's also been the mindset of Vanacek, who's like, hey, I'm just here to play hockey and have fun and not.
To speak to that point, he's good friends with Vrana, who's, you know, obviously kind of a young, fun guy on the team.
Yeah.
And I think that those two together, their energy, that could surge through some of these older players.
Yeah.
They can play through that and they can use that. Because in 2018, we had a great balance of both youth and veteran talent, and them all coming together for a common cause. And you can start to see some of the seeds of that growing with this team. And I just think that we just need to let that flourish. And I'm just so excited for both the goalie and hopefully, you know, maybe that will resurge Vrana a little bit because he'll be excited that his, you know, country mate, also with a V name, you know, can come together, and, you know, they spent a lot of time off ice together. So I'm happy for the both of them. Carol, what are some of your thoughts before we get into the last game?
You know how I feel about Ron, and you know I feel like he's definitely going to be a star in this league. Like we talked about, you know, him falling off a little bit towards the end of last season. But we saw the same thing with Kuzin. We see how he's flourished into one of the league superstars. And I feel like Ron is definitely on that path. And the rookie goaltender, he's been playing some stellar goaltending. He started out a little rough. They were saying it's been a while since he was on ice anyway, going back to the AHL. And now that he's in there on a steady basis, we've seen what he can do. I'm waiting for that first shutout. I was hoping he was going to get it tonight. Boston got that one goal in the second because he's been playing some solid crease. He isn't, getting too aggressive. He's staying, at the top of the crease, and he's taking his time. He's not, playing like a rookie that, doesn't know what he's doing. He was in the AHL. I believe he was I think he won like the MVP or something of the All-Star game or something. So he has, the talent to be in pressure situations. I feel like he just had to get his, legs under him in the NHL as opposed to the AHL with so much time off. And it's just amazing at what he's doing, that he's in there. I was thinking Craig Anderson was going to get there at some point, but they've been riding double V, and he's doing very well.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's no
Was
longer.
Was that a Pasta goal?
It was a Pasta goal. He took the middle of the ice well. Hagelin didn't get there in time. Beautiful shot, gets it right past the goal. It almost looks like a 7-hole goal, but it just gets right by him. And now we're in a dogfight. 12:49 left in at least on my clock. A 3-2 game. Caps are still up by 1 goal. The Caps were then buzzing in the Bruins zone, but now the Bruins are buzzing in the Capitals zone. But unfortunately, they're able to stop for just a moment.
We're about to get the next goal. I had turned on the Pittsburgh Rangers game on the main TV. Now I put it back on the Caps game.
Yeah,
we about to get the next goal and get the 2-goal lead back.
There you go.
I hope so. Yeah, I see what happened now. The guy who was following Pasta didn't kind of tripped on the goal, and then it needed to be a defensive shift in alignment, and Hagelin just didn't get there in time. And but yeah, anyway, it's 12:39, still 1-goal game. But let's get into the next game against the Islanders.
Yep. So Thursday, I think all of us are ready to kind of turn off our TVs and walk away because that first period was completely dominated by New York. It was
So let's break it down by period. So just talk about the first period scoring first.
Yeah. No. But I was going to say, so the first period was completely dominated by New York, and it was a 3-0 lead.
Right. So Carol turns on the TV after that period. I
I
switched
was on my way
shirts.
home, and I normally have the feed on my phone listening to it, and I just sold the car, so I was feeling pretty good. I come home and I see the Caps are down 0-3. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
Right. So I was wearing my Unleash the Fury jersey signed by Wes Johnson, and I had the wrong shirt on under it. So I ran up after the period. I had to put the championship shirt on, and I switched shirts. He turns on the TV, and suddenly, new mindset. What happens in the second period?
Oh my goodness. And then the Caps take over, and just has me so beyond giddy. It's stupid. Starting with 2 goals from Connor Sheary at 9:07 and 10:20. Fantastic. Good for him. Followed by Hathaway scoring at 11:11, assisted by Hagelin and Dowd. 3 minutes later, Carlson scores a power play goal at 14:16, giving us the Capitals a 4-3 lead. But closing out the period, Chara scores his first at 18:30. Dad hug that we all love. Assisted by Schultz and Scarbosa, who is making a name for himself, and good for him. And then Carol will appreciate third period, empty netter, Tom Wilson, 6-3 win. It was fantastic.
5 goals in 10 minutes after allowing 3 goals in 7 minutes. Carol, what are your thoughts on some of that? Oh, huge fight. Oh, yeah. Wilson is just.
Oh, is it Tommy's fighting?
Yes. Oh, he is.
I have a delay. Gosh.
I missed the beginning of it.
Well, no. See, now we're letting Anna know, so she won't miss the beginning of it. So that's great for you.
Yeah, they're trying to get the Boston trying to get themselves going. They tried that last game, and Wilson didn't go for it. But I guess Wilson, he had to drop the gloves. I'm about to see what happens. Oh, they off the break. They wanted it as soon as they dropped the puck. They were like, yeah, we about to do this.
Nice. I like it. Yeah.
Wilson back. I was like, okay, what you want, son? What you want?
But now who is that?
Oh, Wilson.
He was a punk before. Come on,
Ooh,
Tommy.
with another nice one.
Oh, that is awesome.
Oh, helmet off.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Tommy.
It's been a while since Wilson dropped the glove.
Yeah, Tom. I don't think he's fought this whole season, if I'm not
He
mistaken.
hasn't.
So.
Well, because he was out. He was out, and then he had he was cautious. I think when he came back after the injury.
If he'd have caught a little dude clean, he'd have put him to sleep. He's lucky.
Yeah, he's lucky. He slipped, and he got very lucky on that one. So 11-11. Yeah, 11-11. So they'll both cool off. It'll still say 5-on-5, but they will be in the box for the next 5 minutes of the last 11 minutes of this game.
That's a good hit.
Yeah, some good hits. Yeah, it's definitely exciting game. Real quickly, I'll talk about the fact that 4 goals in a row between the 2 games were scored by those Penguins, right? The first 2, in this game, and the last 2 in the previous game. So that's great. I love the Chara goal. Beautiful. I mean, he's won hardest shot before, and you can see why.
Holy,
yeah.
Because I think we talked about this before. I think wasn't he clocked at?
After we almost laid him out. Oh my bad. I'm sorry. It was after we almost rocked past that world going up against the Bulls.
But I think it was 108 miles an hour or something, ridiculous. In All Stars. My God. So yeah, but what a fantastic Chara goal and then the dad celebration, and someone pointed out today that he kind of has this I don't know if it's going to be his superstitious thing or whatever, that he has to tap the helmets of each player that comes on just to kind of count them, and that's sort of his thing after each goal, and good for him. I don't care what he does.
We're playing with fire now. We just gave them a power play.
I think that should have been an embellishment, because he let the stick go as soon as it went into the dude's skates, and he felt like he
I don't disagree, but it's not a good time. And
they were playing tough. They were trying to clear the zone, and Boston pinched in because they're being aggressive now because they know they're down in goal. So I think the power play unit is going to do fine.
It's funny. I don't usually let people watch me watch hockey just because I get so angsty in these kinds of moments. So we don't usually.
About to score a shorthanded goal, Robbie. I'm going.
All right, I love the optimism.
I'm going to call it. They're going to score a shorthanded goal.
I'm gonna have to listen because like I am, well, here I am nearsighted, so I'm like my TV's over there. Put my glasses on to watch the game, but I'm just gonna listen to you guys.
You definitely look like a teacher, with putting the glasses on.
I need a lanyard.
Exactly. So on some bright side for Brian, who I know is still listening in, the Rangers have scored a goal to go up 2-1 in theirs. They have about 8 minutes left in the third period. According to mine, so I hope that they're able.
I know they've had a rough week.
Yeah, they've had some tough times. I know. We'll talk about seeing them in a few minutes. We may even get the voice of Brian Brennan to help us preview that.
But I want to talk about that second period of that Islanders.
Yeah, go for it.
With them dropping 5 goals in the second, we've known the Capitals' second period to normally, be a bad thing, and they some reason they go into a lull into this. Sometimes they think it's a long change or whatever it is, but we saw this team come out from being down 0-3 against the division rival ex-coach who, the Islanders don't give up leads when they're up 3-0. They don't, do that. But this team fought back shorthanded and Connor Sherry with those 2 goals. That first goal was straight hunger. He was on the forecheck. He was hustling. He was causing havoc. Got a turnover. He was in front of the net, and he just spun around, and then boom, it was a goal. Didn't even look. He just spun and shot it, and it went in. Then the second goal was on the wing, just a shot that should have been stopped, but it wasn't. And then the momentum just swung. You mentioned Hathaway coming down the wing. We talked about Dylan. He, I believe, was the defensive player of the week. I think I saw it pop up somewhere. So got to give him a shout out for that.
Dilly.
Breakaway with Dow, almost breakaway, but and it was just good to see that team come back against Boston. We talked about how stellar defensively Boston has been playing. They only give up 1.93 goals a game, and I'm talking about the Islanders. I'm watching. I was thinking about Boston. But we know Trotz had solid defense, and after he laid into him after that first loss, with them losing the game with 24 seconds, for them to give up 6 unanswered goals after that, let's just say I feel sorry for the Islanders after that game. They might have had another practice after the game just because he was so pissed off.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention I really appreciate everybody for tuning in live. We've got a lot of people tuning in, even more than usual. I think they're all wanting to watch this Caps game with us, so I really appreciate it. Grant Green, I want to give a shout out from the moderator of a bunch of Caps groups. My dad's watching. It's 2:05 in Scotland, Carol, and he's that dedicated of a Caps fan that he's with us right now.
He's a badass.
And he's watching this game at 2:05 in the morning, so I want to give him a shout out for that.
Man always is a diehard Caps fan. I wish I'd have got a chance to meet him when he did come to the States. But shout out to Grant, man. You always showing love. You always taking the feed. Appreciate it, man. You let's go Caps, babe.
Yep, and Daniel Weeks is also on here. My dad's on here. Seth Thomas. We got a bunch of people. Arun's watching with us some hockey. 32 seconds left on the power play for Boston here. 8:30 left in it. So thank you everyone for coming on and watching us. Got any questions? Definitely let us know. We'll get them on air. Really appreciate all you guys for tuning in live with us. This is really fun. Again, Rangers up 2-1 over Pittsburgh. Washington's up 3-2 over Boston. Exciting night of hockey. Let's get into that Boston game, though. This game was filled with, it was kind of the opposite of that 6-3 game where we started off well, and then it almost kind of fell apart for us. But Anna, why don't you break down the scoring by periods, and we'll
Sure thing. So we have the only goal in the first was from Backstrom at 18:06, and it was unassisted, which I'm sure you loved. And I don't know, there is just something magical about number 19 on the ice. It's just
it's interesting that it's credited as unassisted because I mean there was definitely a lot of Capitals players who made that play happen along the boards, forcing it out. Then they had to kind of rewind. Nicholas took it, and there was some question on whether he was going to be on sides or not. But they're trying to fight us. I love that we got Brendan Dillon, because we don't only just have Tom Wilson.
Brendan Dillon,
I want him to go. I want him to try with Tom, but I want Wilson to put his.
I would be okay if Dylan does. No, I think he's talking about the Rat, right? Marchand?
Yeah, Marchand. He first started messing with Hagler. Hagler ain't bite. Then he went after Dylan after the whistle. I want him to try that with Tom Wilson.
How is that illegal to have like a leg hold there? Like I don't get the hell out of here.
Man, I don't know how he gets away with so much. He does so much little petty
Yeah.
stuff that the refs don't see off the break. It's ridiculous. And then when somebody retaliates for him doing some crap that he does, then they get penalized. I want him to try that crap with Wilson on the ice. I know Wilson was man. I would pay to see that fight, Wilson.
I want 100% pain train, and I don't care how gory it is. I want Marshawn knocked on his ass and then some. I can't stand.
Yeah, he looked like a little rat. He is.
He does.
I need somebody out there to do me a favor. I know that there was a huge hit on him, by Chara, a couple of them. I need the GIF of it. I've seen the image, right? I need someone to GIF that for me so I can have that on repeat. So anybody out there, if they see it, DM me. I would love to share that a bunch of times. So anyone's out there, that's my call to the fans. I want that GIF because I love the idea of him just laying him out over and over and over again. My favorite meme that I saw so far about that was, when you quit your job and you can finally hit the guy that you really hate, so
it's so
true.
Great. So I think he's great, really, but come on now. I think Dylan would take his ass out too, which I'd be okay with.
Yeah.
My son, I just want somebody to rock his world one good time and just knock him slam out on the ice.
Yep.
Yeah. For sure. All right, so let's get into the second period scoring, real quickly.
Yeah, we'll go back. So second period, and I was really excited for this TBR goal. Gets his first at 5:22, assisted by Dylan and Backstrom. Well deserved. He's been fantastic, and I'm pulling for 57. I just think he's just a bonus to the team. 10:03, Ponick scores on a power play goal, assisted by Wilson and the captain. We are now 3-0 Caps. And Boston closes out the second with a Richie goal at 7:32. So now it's 3-1.
Yeah, it's another power play goal against us. It's just we keep taking these stupid penalties and they keep on killing our momentum. And so I really feel if we could clean some of that up, we've done okay with our penalty kill. It's not been horrible, but I think the problem is teams are just giving us less power plays than the other team. It's just statistically true. I don't know why it is. I'm not going to try to guess about that, but just we have gotten some of the fewest amount of penalties called against the other team in our games, but we are converting at a crazy clip. So to me, it tells me that we're doing. Oh crap!
All right, I'm delayed. So who scored? Tell me it was not Marshawn.
No, it was not. I think it was Smith. It was and they tied it up. This is not good. I had a bad feeling that they might get the next one. I know, Carol, you're very optimistic, and I appreciate your optimism, but they've been buzzing, and what a great feather pass through the zone. Smith buries it coming down the side. Everyone kind of shifted over. It was a good play and a great thread pass, kind of something like Backstrom would do, and just
Oshie should have got back. He was trying to intercept the pass.
Ooh,
but
right off the break, he almost got another goal. So we got
that clear when Sherry should have went out a little bit more aggressive when the two guys was at the blue line. But it's still 6:34. Caps know what they got to do. They've been letting Boston get the push. They got to push back now.
Yeah, Boston buzzing now, though, man.
Yeah, they are.
It's crazy going at it. All right. So overall, I thought it was a good period, but unfortunately, that goal kind of changed the momentum. And then break down the 2 third period goals, and then we'll talk about overtime.
Yeah. So we have Boston scoring twice in the third to tie it up, but then here we go with our captain, first game back after all the COVID stuff and not playing. 28 seconds into overtime, he scores, assisted by Backstrom and Carlson. And here we go, 3-4, Caps win. The only, I will say, I think the biggest thing that stuck out was shots on goal. And that was very frustrating because we're looking at Boston 43 and the Capitals 23. And that was probably the biggest
Ooh,
frustrating.
nice pass. Ooh,
Oh, off the.
that was a hell of a pass.
That was a hell of a pass. That was almost a goal. It was a good. It
Oh,
was a good
man.
play by the
That
Capitals.
was
Sorry.
down just a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah.
There you go. Good way to close
Let me
out.
have my
Good way to
teacher remember to
close
put my
out. Come
glasses
on, time to push back. Put the force
Yeah.
check for y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all
We
got to
just got.
start enforcing y'all will. They starting to get a little hustle behind them. You got to rock
Yeah.
somebody's world real quick. You got to
For
get
sure.
a hit on somebody's shingles momentum. But that was a hell of a pass. Too bad he couldn't finish it.
Right. So Ovi had an incredible goal. I just wanted to talk about some stats for that goal. That Mike Gardner, he tied Mike Gardner for
Yep.
708 goals
Ooh.
now, which is
Did you
seventh
see him
most.
on the pregame show?
I did not see him in the pregame show.
Oh
but-
no,
I
yeah,
did. I was watching their work before I left work. I saw him in the pregame.
yeah. It was cool. It was very cool to see, and he just seems very down to earth, and kind of, hey, that's awesome, and good for Ovechkin.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that some people have met him and said he's really nice, and he's Ovechkin.
Oh, he just couldn't control it. He was about to flick that quick. He was about to hit a wicked wrist shot in the clock corner, but he couldn't get it. The joint bounced a little bit on him. I saw what he was trying to do.
I know. Oh, we tried to win it right there.
Wow.
All right, so it also Ovi's 111th game-winning goal, passing Brett Hull and Timu Salami for fourth place in NHL history, and his 24th career overtime goal, which is an NHL record. So
Amazing.
just amazing. Our
Yeah,
goalie was one of the first two rookie goaltenders in franchise history to go unbeaten in regulation through his first 7 games, along with Jim Carey, who was 6-0-1 in 94-95, and only 9 goaltenders have done this since the 60s. So just amazing stuff for that. I also wanted to point out that at this point, 17 different Capitals have scored this season, which is the most in the NHL as well.
And I think, like, I just off of that, it was going to be 18 today with that Hagelin goal, and then it was taken away. But oh my gosh, but 17. I mean, come on, how can you not love this team?
Yeah, for sure. It's
fantastic.
It's been really incredible. And then the one last stat, and I shared a bunch of these stats. People really like them on the page. Double V stopped 40 of 40.
How was that not offside? Oh, good hip check. Good hip check by Orlov.
Oh, yes. He has a great hip check. I know that we give him a lot of trash a lot of times, but
I don't know how that wasn't offside though. That's bullshit. See, nah, they gotta no, fuck that. I'm sorry. Nah. That was offsides, man. They need to run that back. That was not onside when they came across that line. I don't know how they didn't call it, but they better review that because they was not onside on that play. That's bullshit.
I'm not going to be surprised if this goes against us because they always do. But I don't disagree with you with the zone entry, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. What a screen up front. But Double V stopped 40 of 43 shots. He's 5-0-2 with the 2.78 goals against and a 9.18 save percentage. His 5 wins at the time were tied for the most in the
Oh, damn it.
Oh, and then Sherry's hurt too.
That play did not look like onside to me, man.
Yeah,
I'd have challenged that, but after that, I'd at least challenge that. I didn't look like it was onside to me.
Interesting. The rule has changed, so all they have to do is have any part of them on over the line. They don't have to be touching the line anymore. So I wasn't watching. They didn't replay it fast enough. So this is disappointing third period here. So we're down 4-3 with 2:14 left.
No, they're gonna pull the goal. You know the Caps was the best 6-on-5 last year. They're gonna tie this thing up when they pull the goal.
Oh, but Sherry.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay.
All right, 154. They got to get going. How early do you pull the goalie, Carol? We got 149 left.
Pull him down. We got
possession.
You got to force the action.
Yeah.
Pull him down. Bring that 6-man in.
Let's see if they do it. I haven't seen
they hold it up. Yeah, now you pull the goalie face off in the zone.
Yeah. Is this going to be
back to that Marchand play? That should have been a penalty on him with that
Mhm.
bullshit on the ice. They let that shit slide.
Such a shit.
They get that dude to pass so many times, man. I don't get it, man. He must got a
Yeah.
hidden sex tape on Gary Bettman or something.
This is frustrating, but I mean, there's been a lot of games that we've pulled it out, or maybe we shouldn't have. You know, we're not going to win all of them. I think that there was still some good effort here, but it's been a bit of a collapse here. But Boston wants revenge. I mean, Boston woke up today in third place, I believe, in the East, even though just a couple of days ago they were right up there in first. So, Boston's a really good defensive team. Carol and I were talking about it offline. How solid they've been, so. Overall, I'm excited that I really want us to get somehow to overtime here just to get another point out of this
Yeah,
one.
me too.
It's just kind of a brutal thing. It'll be interesting to see what they draw up, and it looks like they are going to have 6 men on the ice, so which makes sense with 1:38 left here.
Gotta win the face off. Gotta win the face off.
Well, we wanted drama in our live podcast, but I would have been okay if we just won 6-0.
I mean, these two teams, and it's ironic because the Capitals had so much of a lockdown on the Boston. They had a 13-game winning streak on them, and they made some improvements and got better. And now,
oh no, it's a game. Yeah. That didn't.
All good.
Yep, it's a shootout.
We see them come back. Hey, we saw them last year come back from 5-3 with a minute and something left when they just gave up a shorthand. Gave it to empty net. It ain't over till the clock read 000.
That's
and that
true.
little Marchand, man, I wish I was at the damn arena right now. I throw this bottle in the back of his head. I swear.
Yeah.
He is the worst. Like
Yeah,
legit. Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
All right, I say Wilson, if you were nice with Marchand, just go ahead and just knock him out. Go ahead and take a 3-game suspension.
Yeah.
just knock him out and take a 3-game suspension, man. I just want to see that dude on the ice bleeding. I'm sorry.
It'd be worth it.
Yeah, I just want to see him on the ice bleeding, man. Twitching like a little rat that he is.
Well, it's like I've never seen him.
Oh, that's icing. I thought someone touched that. Oh, it's so frustrating. Come on, guys. Clean zone entry there.
Damn Bruins, man. I swear.
I know the Bruins are so very, very frustrating. Oh man. All right. So we got 2 games this upcoming week.
Mhm.
We got one against the Rangers that's coming up. I know that the Rangers are still playing the Penguins in a tight game. I don't think it's over. It's commercial break, I believe, right now. But Brian, do you want to bring your audio in and just let us know?
It is over, Robbie. The Rangers won.
They won.
Yay!
Yeah. There you go. So there, I'm happy I give you that moment. So
I will say though, I am sorry you guys are losing this game right now. I've been following it since you guys have been talking. I'm very sorry for you guys.
It's okay. You can't win them all. It'll.
Boston.
Yeah.
He's still in first place.
I don't know. It'll be I think tied in first with Philadelphia now, which is one of the 2 teams we'll talk about right here. So 18 seconds left. Empty net attempt. We're trying to get something going here, but there's a reason why Boston is one of the best defenses in the entire league.
Yeah.
So they're very stifling. Often teams don't score more than 3 goals against them. We kind of had to win this game 3-2. And I think once they tied it up, it was not great for us. So that's a final 5-3. Unfortunately, Boston, our point streak comes to an end, sadly on air, but it is what it is. It's still the most amount of games.
See that little man.
I know.
This one hurt right here because last game they gave it a 3-0 lead. In this game they gave it a 3-0 lead. Last game they were able to get overtime. But they got to tighten it up. They got to play full 60 minutes. They can't have these lapses now. Last year was the second period. This year's the third period. They had a 2-goal lead.
Yeah.
There's no way in the hell they should have gave up four goals in that period. So they got some work to do, but you can't lose the ball. You can't. Not with the dominance that they had over them. over the last 2 seasons, winning 13, 14 in a row.
I know, but flip side argument is they're due, right? Like no team, it's never that lopsided. I appreciate I think Boston is a better team than some of those teams, and we don't have Holtby anymore. There's a lot of things that's very different about these.
More because one of the players I hate is on the team, and he got the empty net goal, that damn Marchand. He's lucky I'm where I'm at in Clinton. If I was still in my house in Capitol, I could make it to the arena in time to get a hockey stick and beat Capitol. He's lucky I had to move.
Right. Well, let's get Brian's thoughts on the Rangers real fast, and then we're going to bring in a special guest to be our post-game assessment of what his thoughts are of that unfortunate collapse right there. So, Brian, let's talk about your win real quickly. How did they look against the Penguins?
I mean, they started off by giving up the early goal to go down 1-0, but good resilience, and then eventually winning in the third period on a power play goal by Chris Kreider is exactly what the team needed. I mean, I shared it to our hockey group chat about what happened with Tony DeAngelo over the weekend. They've placed him on waivers. They've said officially, Jim Groton, the GM, said officially today, Tony DeAngelo will never play another game for the Rangers. So that situation, yeah, they're getting rid of him. Come hell or high water, they're done with Tony DeAngelo. So I think it's for the best. He was always a lightning rod for controversy. So I think getting rid of him is going to make the chemistry in the locker room a lot better. I mean, we just saw it tonight with the way they played against the Penguins, a good team in Pittsburgh. So I'm hoping for better results. The season has not started the way I wanted to, but there have been highlights, and we'll see how it goes. I know the Capitals are going to want to get back on track after this game tonight. So I think it'll be a good matchup. Yeah, looking forward to it, guys.
Yeah, that'll be on Thursday. It'll be an interesting matchup indeed. All right, well, Brian, we'll bring you back in for the NFL segment in a little bit, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, so I appreciate that, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes. And Carol, let's get your thoughts on playing the Rangers. I know they're at the bottom of our division, but any game is going to be a tight one in this division.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look forward to the New York game. I'm still pissed off about it.
I know it's hard to do a post game live.
Yeah, the Rangers, like you said, they're at the bottom of the division. They had the number 1 pick. They're rebuilding. No more Lundqvist in the net, but they're still an NHL hockey franchise that you can't just think you're going to go in there and just beat them automatically. So that's Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hasn't got off to the best start to the season either, which is always a good thing. Malkin, a horrible slump, is always a great thing. But you got to take them serious. We know how the Washington area teams, not just the Capitals, have issues with teams from New York for some reason. And even when the teams from New York aren't playing as well, they find a way to beat the Washington team somehow, some way. So hopefully they don't have any hangover from this Boston loss. Hopefully Laviolette can get them back focused or more focused on defense and not giving up 2-goal leads, because we've seen that in a few games, in that even though they've got a point in 9 straight games, they have given up some 2-goal leads in those, which we spoke about last week, that they're definitely going to have to address. Now, the fact that you've lost one of those games against one of the teams in your division that, is in second place now, something needs to be done. I mean, I know you're still missing Kuzi and, Orlov, his first game back. I missed the, hip check that he had in third right before they scored that goal. But it's going to be key that this team wins the games that they're leading, especially in the third period when you're up by 2 goals. You just cannot have that happen in a regular season game, and especially in a playoff game.
Right. So we're going to bring Gil on camera, but I'm going to ask Anna first what her thoughts are on the Rangers, and then I'm going to go to Gil after that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with Carol. I think what I do appreciate about Laviolette is the fact that he is kind of the coach that's coming in saying, when you play well, you've earned it. And when you haven't, we bump you down. And I think that is something that these players need, is like as a wake-up call. And I think we continue to work on the face-off. We continue to just do what we're doing. But I'm hoping Eller's back. I mean, that would be a huge plus, but I still love the energy and the vibe that this team is just across the board. And so I think it's there. I think that this loss is just one that we're just going to have to check off and just move forward and, get back to playing awesome hockey like they have been. Hi, Gil.
We're bringing Gil in from the Power Play Point podcast, which I listened to today. It was fantastic. Mrs. Blue Liner did a great job substituting for Anna here, which I thought was a wonderful show. You had a lot of great insight on a bunch of the games that we've recapped. So if they want your insight on those games, they should definitely check that out. But I want to get your take on the Rangers, just because we were just talking about that. But then after that, I want to get your instant reaction to this collapse that we just saw here.
Well, I mean, you get what you pay for, and what they paid for was a team that supposedly learned how to win these last 9 games and then forgot. So when you do that and you stop playing, well, you see what happened. They stopped playing. They stopped playing the way they'd been. I don't know. I think Laviolette probably should have called a timeout, maybe after the second Pasternak goal, because they just weren't. They did not look as committed as they had been. They weren't playing the Caps hockey they had been, certainly over the course of the last week. I don't know. You kind of have to give the guys a reboot, a wake-up call. Reboot. Maybe that would have been a good reboot up the butt. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know. They just stopped playing. There's no other explanation for it. They just stopped playing their game and they let the Bruins take over. When you do that with that good of a team, you see what happens. And they lost the game as much as the Bruins came back and won the game for themselves. That's what I'll say.
Right. And what are your thoughts?
I really I can't agree with that fully. I think they were playing. They stopped getting the bounces they were getting, and they stopped forechecking. And I'm gonna go back to that Marchand incident on the ice with Hagelin and then with Dylan. He should have got a penalty for that situation right there. They let and on that next offensive zone for them, they actually horse collared one of the defensemen and threw him down to the ice, and they didn't call it. Like you mentioned earlier, Robbie, the power play discrepancy is getting utterly ridiculous against this Caps team, that they make a minor infraction and the refs see everything, but you have a player blatantly throwing a man down by the back of his jersey against the board and nothing gets called, and then seconds later a goal is scored. So, I mean, I don't want to say that they stopped playing. They did stop playing Capitals hockey because we didn't see the aggressive forecheck and then closing out and hustling like they were. But some of it goes to some of the things that happens on the ice that the refs don't call, and you can see some of the frustration from the Caps when they don't get those calls and they see the ticky-tack penalties that they get, and then they can have one of their men get thrown down to the ice and nothing gets called. That, I'm not saying that's a reason to stop playing, but that can definitely affect the psyche of a team, that if I go in and make a slight infraction, you're going to call the whistle, blow the whistle on me. But this guy can come over here and throw my man down to the ice and nothing happened. And we spoke about it earlier, Robbie went into great detail about the discrepancy. It's starting to get ridiculous. Like before they won the cup, they wouldn't get the calls. They weren't respected, and they were so-called a soft team and wanted to just, were just offensive and play defense. But we see this team playing solid defense, going to the boards hard, hustling, and fighting for the puck. But if the refs aren't going to call it even, and momentum swings on the smallest things in hockey, we've seen it happen. And a play like that with Marchand is able to do things like that and get away with it, nothing gets called, and then they keep the momentum going. To me, it was a combination of both to me.
Right. Anna, what are some of your thoughts? And then I do want to get Gil's thoughts on New York as well.
Yeah, on New York or Boston?
Well, I want to get your thoughts on this game on what we were just talking about, but then I want to get Gil's take more on the looking forward to the Rangers, because I know this is devastating.
Absolutely. I feel like tonight I didn't enjoy watching this game as much as I enjoyed the first Boston game. I felt like they were tight, they were on it, and tonight there was a little bit I don't know, a disconnect, I'll say. I didn't think they played terribly, but I don't think that they were the 100% that we have seen recently. And I also am kind of wondering, like, when is Vanacek going to get a break? I feel like there has to be a game coming up to
I think you will see one now. I don't think you're
Yeah.
ever going to stop a guy on the heater, right? Like if he's going to keep winning, you're going to keep riding him. But I do think that the problem is there's only
time.
2 games this week, right? So
Yeah, that's
I
true.
kind of think that you might give him that Rangers game and see how he does. It's tough because there's just that one in the Super Bowl Sunday game. So I mean,
Yeah.
he could do both in this week because it's just not a lot of games. But I agree that at some point you do want to see what Craig Anderson has. I'll agree.
Just to give us something, it's not like we're putting a rookie in between the pipes. You've got someone who is experienced, but you're also every time, every day that goes by, it's like, okay, longer that he hasn't played. Vanacek has been fantastic, and that I can't complain. I don't think that there's anything about this game. Like there isn't one particular player that's sticking out that I think, usually I'm like all over number 9 to be like, oh, or Jen, somebody to just be like, why the hell are you in the lineup? I didn't feel that tonight. I just kind of felt like we were maybe at 75-80% effort.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, TJ Oshie had the biggest minus. Not that that's the best indicator, but he was on for 3 goals of the 5. So that's not particularly great.
He took a stupid penalty also early in the game.
Yeah. So So
it's just a meh game.
Not his best game,
Yeah.
But
you want a real indicator of how this game went and how it went downhill for the Caps. Look at the shots on goal per period. 15-8 for the Caps in the first period. 9-5 for the Bruins in the second period, although they didn't play that bad of a second, I don't think. And then 16-6 for the Bruins in the third period. That's your story, lady and gentlemen, right there. That's why the game went the way it did.
Yeah.
Pure and simple.
We saw the previous game against Boston, how they gave up the lead in the third period. And if, before was the second period, for some reason now it's the third period. In the Trots, the second, third period, they played strong. And the live of that so far, the second period, they played strong some games. We saw the 5 goals against the Islanders. And then, the game tonight, they gave up 1, got 1. But then the third period has been the one that's been kicking in the butt lately, where they've lost those 2-goal leads. So I'm not going to get too worried about it right now. But the fact that the new alignment is of playing these teams over and over again in every game count. I probably said 2 points, 4 points instead of 2 points. They have to right the ship on that ASAP.
Yeah.
So Laviolette can, handle that and take care of it. Robbie, like I said, he's your boy. I'm riding with your boy.
Right, I'll ride with them though. Been to 3 Stanley Cup, with 3 different teams until he proves me wrong. Early on with most of those teams too. Both teams had 4 power plays. We were able to convert once. They weren't able to convert. Hits was a pretty big discrepancy. They out hit us 27-17. So especially in the third period, I felt like the hits. We weren't taking the body, they were, and so they were gaining a lot of momentum from that. So a couple of disappointing things. Let's, Gil, real quickly, what are your thoughts on playing the Rangers coming up? And then I want to get the whole team's thoughts on the Flyers as well.
You never want to say any team is an easy out in the world's best professional hockey league, but I think the Rangers are a team in something of a bit of disarray right now. They had that whole blow up with Tony DeAngelo being waived. There's some sort of altercation with one of their goalies, and then he's just been nothing but a walking bag of controversy ever since he was signed by that team, and so somebody decided enough. So that's been something of a distraction that they finally ridded themselves of, but still they haven't been all that great, so far this season. So, I mean, you're walking into a situation where, okay, it's on the road again, but they could start to regain their form against this team. So I kind of like this matchup for our guys, but this is like you were saying, that this is probably a good time to put Anderson in net. Let's just see what he's got. He's used to playing behind a bad defense. I'm not saying we have a bad defense, but he's used to facing lots of shots. So give him the start. Give V squared a rest. Let him be the backup for the night. And I like our chances against the Rangers, but again, they're not to be taken too lightly, because you saw the way they hung tough against Pittsburgh tonight. So I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting because there's two schools of thought. One, you want to get him to have a rebound game before you have the big game against Philly on Super Bowl Sunday. But also, we need to get I think Anderson a game while he's still up here just to see what he's got at this level. So I think that you could see it either way. Carol, what are your thoughts on the goalie situation? Do you want to see Anderson? Do you put Double V right back out there, get him back on the horse because it's a good experience for him, especially on not many games?
Give Craig some work. Samsonov is still in the COVID protocol. I haven't heard any updates. I don't know if you got that, but I mean, Craig Anderson is a quality goalie. He's played some quality, years in the league. I say you at least want to get him out there to see what he has. You got him on the roster, but I have to put him out there to see what he does. And against the Rangers, one of the lower ranked teams, I don't see the harm in it. No offense, Brian.
Right. But Carol, and then we go back to Double V for the Sunday game, no matter how good Craig looks against New York. Is that your thoughts?
I say you still right. Plus he's young. You don't want to have him out too many games. Got to mess with his psyche, trying to make the transition to NHL. I say, let Anderson go out there, even if he has a shutout and, saves 30 shots. You still want to put Double V out there to keep his mindset positive. You don't want to think that it's a demotion for him, for the last game, because it definitely wasn't on him. It was on the defense of the Capitals. So I think you go to Anderson for one and go to Double V for the next one.
Yeah. So Gil, what are your thoughts overall about Philadelphia? They're coming in tied with us now for first place. It's kind of a battle for first place in the East on Super Bowl Sunday. So that they got the game that they wanted. It's going to be on NBC, nationally televised at noon. What are your thoughts on the Fly Guys, who have looked pretty good this year?
Yeah, well, if everybody thought the Bruins were going to be a pretty good test, this is going to be an even better one. This is pretty much the same team that was banging down our door for the division lead last year, and they haven't gotten any worse. They haven't taken a step back. They're the same team. They're a damn good team. They're well coached, well prepared. I mean, they got a lot of jump, and they're solid in all areas. I don't find a glaring weakness anywhere on this team at all. So I like our chances, but it's a good litmus test for sure, because they're, in my opinion, one of the top 5 teams in the league overall. So it'd be interesting how that plays out. They better bring their A game. They better not collapse like they did in the third period in this game, because if they do, they'll lose for sure.
So they're going to have to play Boston twice in Philadelphia before they play us. Once on Wednesday at 8 and then once on Friday at 7. So they've got the more every other day consistent schedule, where the Capitals have one game on Thursday. So we've got a bit of a layoff, and then that bit more of a break on the Friday and Saturday off before it. Carol, do you think playing Boston more often this week will help or hurt Philly in their matchup against us?
With Boston being quality on defense and top team with a penalty kill, it's definitely going to help them coming in against us, being the fact that they haven't been playing solid defense for 60 minutes, and we've seen lapses on the defensive end. So I feel like it's going to help Philly playing against Boston twice, because they've been defensively sound under Cassidy, ex-Capitals coach. I was listening to somebody like it took him 15 years to get back to the NHL after the Caps fired him. Spent a lot of time in the AHL and some of the minor leagues, but now that he's back, he has the Bruins playing solid defense and penalty killing, which is what he's been about. So his system is definitely taking off now. So it's definitely going to help Philly coming into it against the Capitals, knowing that they're still trying to find their way defensively, and hopefully we don't see some of those lapses sort of night or the previous.
Philly looks really good. I'll just read off that they were able to beat Jersey and the Islanders twice each, which we agree are kind of the lower ranked teams, some of them in the division, but pretty soundly. They did lose to Boston twice so far. They split an earlier Buffalo series and beat Pittsburgh twice. So Philly's been looking pretty good, especially winning those last 4 games. So it'll be interesting to see if this slows it down. Anna, your thoughts on playing Philadelphia on Super Bowl Sunday?
Oh, sure. I was a little distracted prior to you talking about this with Gil's mullet. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on there.
You like that? You like that? You like this?
It looks like Yarmir Yager.
I call it. I call it. I actually call it Robbie Gross meets Brendan Dillon.
Right.
I'll take it. I have other ideas.
So usually, Carol, they don't see each other when they do the podcast. So this is
yeah. So this has been like I'm like sort of trying to hide the fact.
I was done at mullet. I was done at mullet. That's the first mullet reference we've ever had on Sports.
That's it. And that's that's 2021 at this point, right? COVID and everything has got us saying things that we don't usually say and see things that we don't usually see recently.
I haven't got my hair cut either, so I understand.
Yeah, it's all good. You're gonna have to repeat the question.
Oh yeah, sorry. What do you think about the Flyers on Super Bowl Sunday?
Gosh, I just think that we're just at a point right now where any team that we are going to play, we just cannot, we just can't count them out. Like we just have to go in playing smart hockey. And I know that just sounds very generic, but it's very true that like we can't just there's no assumptions going into this saying like, they're not that great, or oh, they're this, or oh, they're that. Because look at the Capitals. If you were playing the Capitals and you're saying, oh my gosh, they have they're 4 Russian players out, they have a rookie goalie in, we've got this, we're going to take them out, and look at how well they played. Like they've been fantastic. So I don't think that anybody can come into this and say, oh, we've got this. I don't ever like the afternoon games with the Capitals. I think that that's always been kind of a little bit of a curse. But I just don't, I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a 2-1.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I appreciate it. We got that hour in with the hockey segment. I'll give one more plug for Gil before we let you guys
For the mullet.
go. For the mullet, for the great podcast as well. Again, if you go to sportsothp.com, click the podcast partners button, you get the Power Play Point podcast, usually with Anna, this time with Gil and his lovely wife. And so I highly encourage that. I'm sure next week Anna will be back on. You can catch the entire show log, so plenty of Anna on that button as well. You can also catch the No Spots podcast we talked about earlier over there. You can also catch upon further review with Brian Brennan. We're going to bring Brian back in a few minutes, but we really appreciate both of you guys for doing this sort of post-game show. Maybe we'll do it again if we get another live Caps game in the future.
I hope so.
Any final thoughts before we let you go?
Well, I mean, I was just taking a look at the standings, and we've all got to remember this is an abbreviated season, and we're coming up on 4 games till we hit the quarter pole. So I don't want to start sounding the alarm bell, but any thoughts of a playoff run? I think you need to start, if not now, then very, very, very soon. So Anna kind of mentioned this before. Don't take any teams lightly. Maybe you want to start playing a little scared. I kind of want to start seeing that from the Caps starting this week, if not next.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see
something to watch for.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate it. We usually try to get a conversation between the two of us at some point during the quarter, halfway, and 3/4 mark. So I'm happy that we had this opportunity tonight. And thank you, Gil, for joining us. And I'll let Anna give her final thoughts before she goes.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. But I will say that I want to see the drive continue. But I also just think that we're in a really good headspace with this team. The chemistry is awesome. And the Caps do so much better when they are out on the ice having fun versus having a cloud over them of, we have to do this, we have to win this to do this, and, all that kind of pressure. I think when there's no pressure and they're kind of just enjoying being out there, loving hockey, we see the best of the best. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you guys both for joining us. We're going to bring in our football people in now, but
All
I
right.
appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good. Thanks you
Thanks
guys.
for having me, Robbie.
Of course. Of
Bye.
course.
All right, take care.
Right. All right, so we're gonna bring in Dujane Bland here. Let me try to swap it around, and I know that Dujane is going to be audio for us. He's been nice enough to join us for an abbreviated Super Bowl talk. So, Carol, I'll let you take it away from here. I'm going to step off camera for a second, and you can start it, and then I'll jump in.
All right. Dujane, what's going on, my brother?
What's going on, man? How's things going?
Hey, man, it's a beautiful day. Well, it's a snowy day, but it's still a beautiful day. We had a great show so far talking Wizards, Capitals, and now it's time for that Super Bowl 55 preview between the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm actually watching NFL Network right now, and I believe they're replaying the game from earlier this year between these two teams. Before I get to the stats on myself, I know your time is limited. I'll talk about that after you get off the air. What are your initial thoughts on this game and the path that these two teams have taken to get to this point in Super Bowl 55?
It's a solid matchup. Both teams kind of had their, times where they had their hiccups. I thought you saw Tampa Bay get the ability to kind of learn early. They were trying to marry things up with Tom Brady. And you saw Kansas City at the end of the season kind of tail off a little bit too. It kind of got some folks a little nervous, coming into the playoffs. The way that they kind of ended the season. You never want to end that way. But I think you're going to have it's really just going to be a chess match. It's really going to be about whether Kansas City can get Tom Brady off of his spot and whether the Bucks can contain Patty Melt Mahomes and try to, make it something to where, he's not becoming a dual threat, I should say, with their running game, his ability to run, so on and so forth. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think it's going to be one of the better Super Bowls that we've had in a while.
No, it's definitely going to be a chess match between Bruce Arians and Andy Reid, two offensive-minded coaches. It's definitely going to come down to the defense. Can Tampa Bay contain the explosiveness of Kansas City? And can, as you said, can Kansas City get enough pressure on Brady to get him off the spot? Because we've seen how the referees have allowed their offensive line to use WWE moves to contain the defensive line. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this game is called. You have the GOAT and Tom Brady going up against the, Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champion Patrick Mahomes, who looks like he's going to be the next real deal in this league with this team and this offense. So it's definitely going to come down to which defense can frustrate the opposing offense the most and to keep them out the end zone and hold them to 3 points instead of 7 points, because we've seen both of these teams put up a lot of points on the scoreboard. Who do you think on both sides of the ball, both teams, who do you think is going to be the impact player besides Brady and Mahomes, the quarterbacks? Who do you think is going to make an impact in this game, is going to help determine the outcome between these two teams?
Oh, man. I think it's really just going to come down to really just the defenses. I really think Tyreek Hill for Kansas City is a game changer. And his ability to not just be able to go special teams wise, but what he can do offensively. He blows open defenses quickly with those quick big plays that they can rile off. And I think that's what's going to be the deciding factor. Can they contain that big playability of Tyreek Hill. And if they can do that, then they have a really good shot. I mean, they've got a shot anyway. I mean, it's Tom Brady, and his ability to be able to just really fine tune a lot of things. You saw that as the season went on and the tail end of the season, they just dialed in, and they're really dialed in right now. So, but I really think that's the key. Tyreek Hill is the guy that can change this thing one way or the other. And he, just because of his special teams ability and his ability, what he can do on the offensive side of the ball with his versatility.
No doubt, no doubt. I agree with you to an extent. I think that the player that's going to allow Hill to be more of an offensive threat is Kelsey. I'm looking at his numbers now, and I had no idea this man had 106 catches, 1,400 yards. He only had 2 drops in 145 targets and had 105 receptions, 1,400 yards and 11 TDs. I feel like if he can get going on the offensive side down the seams, put pressure on that Tampa defense, I think that's what's going to open up Hill to be able to do what he can do and just, like you say, make explosive plays happen anywhere on the field. Screen game, punt return, wide receiver. If you get the ball in his hands against a defense that's having to play honest and straight up and not doubling him, it's going to be a problem any given Sunday. So I think that Kelsey, if he can get going early and they force the Bucs to put a safety or a safety and a linebacker on him or try to bracket him so he doesn't go off, I think Hill is going to be the X factor and take over the game. So I definitely agree that I feel like Tyreek Hill is going to be the X factor in this game. On the Tampa Bay side, I got to go with Antonio Brown. If he can, get loose and get a big explosive play like we've seen him do, then that will help take some of the pressure off of Brady. We've seen Mike Evans, who normally has short hands, had butterfingers in the playoffs. So I think it's going to take a player like Brown to take some of the pressure off of him so he can excel, because I feel like you've seen me.
Don't underestimate Goodwin, though.
Say that again?
Don't underestimate Goodwin.
Goodwin,
that guy
is also solid too. But I think
he's a weasel. He weasels his way into things, man. he just when you think that he's not doing anything, he riles off a couple big plays, and that usually is the deciding factor. I think we saw that in their last game, and he's done that pretty much all season. He's quiet, and then he has a breakout quarter or two. And really gets the offense moving, and they get a couple big plays. He gets a couple scores. He really can change the dynamic, and that honestly opens the door up for guys like, Antonio Brown to open up those plays. I think so. It's going to be interesting.
It definitely is. It's definitely going to be a chess match. I'm still kind of flipping the coin right now, trying to decide on who I'm going to go with. But like I said, I'm never going to say the refs won or lost a game, but we've seen several times that the offensive line for Tampa Bay has been given certain liberties because of who they have at quarterback. And we also know that Patrick Mahomes is the golden boy of the league. Andy Reid, great story, Kansas City, boom, boom, boom. And the whole narrative of Tom Brady, if he wins his 7th ring this Sunday, he will have more Super Bowl rings than any franchise in the NFL. So I'm going with Kansas City, but I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way for Tampa Bay to win this game, especially with him being the only team to ever host the Super Bowl and go to the Super Bowl. There's too many narratives in the scheme of things that I can see the NFL profiting off of, and that's where the money aspect comes into it. That I can see a couple of missed calls or a couple of referees getting blind for a couple of seconds when they see an arm bar or a headlock putting on a Kansas City Chiefs defender. So I'm going with Kansas City, but I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way for Tom Brady to ride off to the sunset with 7 Super Bowl rings, and the Belichick not making playoffs, and him winning the Super Bowl, and in that he can only win with Belichick narrative. So I'm hoping that we don't see some of the stuff we saw in the wild card round last week. It wasn't bad, but I'm going to go with Kansas City. What about you, dude?
I think Kansas City runs it back, but you never underestimate Tom Brady. But I think Kansas City runs it back. I think it's going to come down to an interception. And we know Tom has had a couple of them, and honestly, they probably shouldn't even be here with the amount of interceptions that they had in previous games. They were unable to capitalize. So it's really going to come down to that play. And I think if you give a team like Kansas City the ability to make those types of plays, to be able to get turnovers, extra opportunities, I really think they are a team that can capitalize off of that. Home field advantage. I mean, I don't know if there's really any home field advantage. These teams get there super early. They don't have a problem with any of that other stuff. So I don't see that being a problem at all. So I'm going to go with Kansas City, but like I said, I wouldn't underestimate Tom Brady ever.
No doubt, I'm the same way. I just don't like the way, like I said, I'm still going back to watch the football team game. I just don't like the way some of those non-calls. But it's been a very interesting football season. I was off yesterday, so I was doing some trolling and some watching football team things. And it's a man. I just want to end on this though. I want to get your opinion. Being on the outside. I was told that I'm giving Daniel Snyder a free pass, and I don't I don't hold him accountable. It's just amazing how much some fans put blame on him and talk about he wasted the draft pick on Dwayne Haskins. It was his call, which we went over and over and over again on this show, that it had nothing to do with Daniel Snyder. But because of the DC sports media and some of these gullible fans, they're going to have the audacity to try to come at me and tell me that Daniel Snyder was behind that pick. He was the third highest rated quarterback in the draft. That's what they drafted. But the fact that some of these fans want to demonize Daniel Snyder, granted, he was a butthole. He came into the league wrong. But over the last 5 to 6 years, this man has done nothing but open his wallet and said, what do you need to win? And the fact that some fans got a problem with him, or because he's a Trump supporter or whatever it is, I done told y'all once, I'm going to tell you again. You got two options. Ride with the team and shut up, or go be a Baltimore Ravens fan. I'm tired of hearing it. And I hope the folks that I was trolling yesterday, I hope you're watching, because I'm not going to say your name, but I shot down all your BS you was putting out yesterday. And the fact that you would even have the audacity to say you will come on my show and embarrass me with knowledge, never going to happen. Don't even ever type that again, or even think that again, because I will come for you there. And on that note, Dujane, how do you feel about what I just said?
Some people, you're never going to be able to get them to see the light. It doesn't matter what facts you put out there. They choose to believe their own narrative. And I think we see that in this world today. So with that said, they can either continue to ride with the false narrative. And if that makes them happy, that's fine with me. But at the end of the day, we all know what the truth is. The folks who know what the truth is. So if you want to sit around and make up, stuff when you're not in the building, when you don't cover this team, and you're just somebody eating Cheetos sitting on a couch, that's okay with you. If that makes you feel great, then so be it. But I think we all know the people who know what's going on. We try to disseminate that as best we can. And some people, you're just not going to be able to convince them because they choose to believe the lie, even though the truth smells like some good old collard greens right under their nose. So, and the only thing you can do is keep moving forward. Other than that, I feel the same way you do. if they continue to want to be about the negativity, I mean, the Cowboys are right there for all of that. Kick the can down the road. I don't know what else to say. I'm really tired of addressing stupidity. It's a waste of time, and we seem to get nowhere, even though we try our best to lead them to water. They refuse to drink it. So go ahead, drink the mud or the sewage water or whatever you want to drink. Keep drinking it. Just, I can't do any more with it. I really can't.
No, I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. Let the folks know where they can find you at and what you got cooking. I know you're a busy man, got a lot going on. What you got cooking on the breakdown?
Oh man, we're gonna get back at it here. Had to making some moves, making a big move, moving my home and where I live back to the East Coast. So we're gonna be trying to kick off a show, hopefully after the Super Bowl. Maybe we might get one off Super Bowl weekend, but we'll be doing that. I'll be getting back to writing here soon, as once I get settled in my new home, and you can always talk shop with me at NotBland21 on Twitter. And I love talking shop with you guys. It's always fun. And I appreciate you having me on this afternoon, man. Thank you.
Before you go, Dijon, I just wanted to say I had so much fun with you over, talking wrestling. I wasn't even watching the match, but I thought it was really great to see all your guys' insight. I love what Ken, DC's People's Champ, we talked about it earlier, the Twitter, but it was so much fun over there. And I'm so happy that you were a part of that growth and the movement and tweeting it out, and we retweeted it as well. And I love your insight all season long. So I really appreciate that. And if anybody wants to, if they click on the podcast partners button on sportsothp.com, it's got all the podcasts, but we also have a Duchesne Bland button that goes right to all the articles as well. So we really appreciate you for coming on for the whole football season. We look forward to, I don't know if we'll do a Super Bowl breakdown show next week. I haven't talked to Carol about that, but either do that or when the next season comes along.
Sounds good, man. And yeah, I love DC's People Champ, the Sith. They do a great job over there talking wrestling. I'm a huge wrestling fan. And I just love supporting what they're doing, trying to push it out there, because I believe they bring something different to the table. And I like different. So it's always cool to have those watch alongs. It's not the same without doing the watch along with DC People Champ and the Sith. It makes the whole pay-per-view so much more fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. I wasn't even watching the pay-per-view, but they described it so well. I felt like I was still engaged. And so whether you're watching it or not, it's definitely a good watch. So good looking out, and I really appreciate your time. And I look forward to joining you in many more chat rooms and many more talks of football and the wrestling along the rest of the year.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right, but definitely be up for that draft preview show when the off season. I already got folks asking about who the team should draft if they don't get a quarterback. I remember you telling me the draft was deep with some late round quarterbacks that might be some good prospects. So yeah, I can't wait for that chat, because we already got some folks trying to figure out the draft already.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we really appreciate Duchesne for joining us. So I think we're going to bring Brian in real quickly. In fact, we'll bring him on the 3-man real fast and finish it out that way. I really appreciate you talking in 3 different segments. You talk basketball, hockey, and now we'll talk a little bit of football. Now, I know we're not going to give your final prediction. You're saving that for the Friday show. It's a super teaser for his show. So I'll let you do that. I totally appreciate the hustle there. But I do want to get your insight into these 2 teams and what your thoughts are going into Super Bowl Sunday.
Well, I'm really excited for this matchup. I think I think what Dijon said is right. This could be a Super Bowl matchup for the ages. Just considering you got the GOAT Tom Brady against the baby GOAT Patrick Mahomes. There's a lot to be excited about. Both these teams have a lot of great offensive weapons, from Mike Evans and Chris Godwin with the Bucs to Tyreek Hill and Kelsey with the Chiefs. I think this is going to be a really close, exciting game. Like I said, I'm not going to make my official pick on who I think is going to win until Friday's episode of Upon Further Review with Brian Brennan. But I will say, I think this is going to be a really close, exciting matchup. I think this is, going to be the best Super Bowl in a couple years, maybe since that Eagles Patriots Super Bowl that was really good. And one thing Dejanay mentioned was that these teams come in early for the Super Bowl, but that's actually not the case this year because of COVID and everything. The Chiefs are actually not coming into Tampa until 2 days, I think, before the Super Bowl. So it's not going to be like a normal trip. It's not going to be like they're there for a week. They're only going to be there for a couple of days. It's like a business trip in a sense. So I think that might actually.
They're not available for like media day, or they're just doing
media day is going to be virtual. It's going to be like they're going to basically just do it in Kansas City and answer virtual questions.
Interesting. That's definitely a first that we've never had before. So that's some interesting insight.
Yeah, I heard that on the radio the other day. I thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah, I think it's going to be kind of like a business trip for Kansas City, and I think that mindset might actually help them. So not to tip my hand, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I actually think that might hurt them because I think I actually was believing what Dejanay was saying, that would be really helpful for them to have gotten acclimated to Florida and how different it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say
Kansas City, when it's probably 5 below zero, to Tampa Bay, where it's probably 65 and sunny. So if it was going from hot to cold, then yeah, I could see that, but I really don't see a issue with them going from going to Tampa a little bit later on.
Well, I just think jet lag, just getting their body used to the time.
It's a 1 hour time difference, Robbie.
Yeah.
It's not like they're traveling to Japan or anything.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it makes a difference. I think Tom Brady's played in that venue a lot this season. I think that he's gotten used to it. I don't know if there is such thing as home field advantage in the Super Bowl. No one knows because it's never happened. But it's interesting that a 5 seed wild card team could even get home field advantage in a Super Bowl. Like, it's something that you would never see in any other sport.
And they're technically the road team too, which is interesting.
Don't get me started, Robbie. I don't want to go off on a tirade because they couldn't be there. It is what it is. I'm gonna do the quick tale of the tape before we get out of here. Tampa Bay is 11-5, Chiefs 14-2. Patrick Mahomes.
Carol, can you turn on your camera for my thing? Sorry, I don't have you.
Oh, how do I? What?
I don't know. I don't know. It went off before, but I didn't want to say anything. But yeah,
Jesus, man, I got a little gremlin in my computer or something. What's going on with that?
It's okay. I actually when you switch it switches to a camera that's a different camera that's actually better for ours. So who knows?
That's crazy. I don't know what happened, but tell her to tape real quick so we can get out of here. Patrick Mahomes 390 for 588, 4,740 yards, 38 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Tom Brady 401 for 610, 4,600 yards, 4,633 yards, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I mentioned Travis Kelce, 105 receptions, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. Mike Evans, 70 receptions, 1,006 yards, and 13 touchdowns. Both offenses are in the top 15. Passing, Kansas City first, Tampa Bay second. Rushing, both teams are middle of the pack. Kansas City average 112, Tampa Bay 94, which is 28th. Kansas City 16th. They're both in points. Kansas City's 29.6. Tampa Bay's 30.8, which is third in the league. Kansas City is sixth in the league. Both third down conversions are pretty good. Kansas City's at 49%, which is third, and Tampa Bay is at 43%, which is 11th. Both defenses are top 15. Kansas City is 15th. Tampa is the 9th. They're both pretty solid on the pass, nothing stellar. And they just both wreak havoc with the quarterback when they get a lead. So it's definitely going to be an interesting game. See who gets the score first and can dictate the pace of the game. It's going to come down to which defense can stop the opposing offense. I'm still going with Kansas City. Hopefully, they don't have some of the blatant stuff we saw against the Washington football team happen in the Super Bowl, because that was really, blatantly pissed me off, because, we want the biggest game of the year to be called correctly and not, turn the blind eye because of a certain narrative that wants to be written. But it's been a great season. Appreciate all you guys checking it out.
I want to say a couple more quick things before we go.
Yeah.
First of all, I love doing the fantasy with you. I'm sorry that you missed out on making some picks, so it's not a little bit closer there. But Tommy, my father-in-law, and Arun are at the top of the picks. I'm right behind them, tied with DC's People Champ we're tied for third. There's a couple people tied for sixth, including Dugenet. So it'll be interesting to see. My pick, I'm picking the Tampa Bay, at least publicly, but I'm going to, in the app, pick Kansas City, so that way I don't lose points, based on it. But I personally think Tampa Bay is going to win, so I will lose out points in the app if I'm actually right. But so I'm going to bet on Kansas City, but I'm picking Tampa Bay. So if that makes any sense, but I just think that Tom Brady. There's a debate on whether he'd walk away. I'll ask you guys this. I talked about this on another show earlier in the week with Rev T. Do you think if Tom Brady wins this Super Bowl, does he walk away or does he continue to play? And so I'm going to ask Carol first, and then I want to get Brian's thoughts on that one.
I believe he signed a 2-year contract.
He can always retire. It doesn't really.
Yeah, I think that he still has another year. I think that he'll probably play another year, especially the way, like I said, I don't want to harp on the way the refs been calling things, but they've allowed that 43-year-old dude enough time that he could, make a sandwich, tie his shoes, and then throw the ball and still complete the pass. So, I mean, I think if he wins, he's definitely going to stick around for another season, see if he can win 8 and put his distance between almost everybody in the NFL that the Super Bowl championships and can be considered a GOAT for real, for real.
Then he'd be better than 50%. Right now he's 10 for 20, but he would be 11 for 21 if he's able to do that. Brian, what do you think? Does he walk off into the sunset or does he keep trying?
No, I think Tom Brady's going to keep playing after this Super Bowl no matter what, even if he gets 7. He's talked many times about how he wants to play until he's 45. In fact, he even said the other day that he would consider playing beyond 45. I don't know if that's just, just hype or whatever. He's maybe trying to hype people up, his fans. But I don't see any way Tom Brady steps away, even if he does win his 7th Super Bowl. I think the man just never quits. He just always is go, go, go. And he's like a machine, and it's very tough to tell him to stop. So I don't see him stopping at all after this one.
Interesting. Well, I appreciate your perspective. Brian, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, just thank you for having me on. You guys did a great show tonight. I was glad I was able to listen to pretty much all of it. Check out Upon Further Review with Brian Brennan, my podcast. A new episode came out today. It was a great episode. We talked about some trades that happened, the Matthew Stafford trade, the Nolan Arenado trade. Then I ranked, like we talked about earlier, my top 5 Super Bowls. So it was great. I think Friday I'm going to do another top 5 or some other Super Bowl content. And then, of course, we've also got the roundtable on Friday with Michael Edgley, Tim Clark, and Arun Bhattacharya. So I'm looking forward to that. And, check us out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter. We're everywhere. Upon Further Review with Brian Brennan.
Thank you, Brian. As always, we'll talk to you next week as part of our Wizards talk, and we'll probably recap the Super Bowl at some point in next week's show, but that's to be determined. But thanks for joining us.
No problem, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Take it easy, man.
All right, Carol, we did it. My goal was 10:30. We hit. I mean, the game didn't go the way I wanted to, but the timing of the show was spot on. So, you win some, you lose some, but I'll take it. I was trying to get this show to be 2 hours, but start early. So that way the timing, we'd start the third period with the hockey talk. We get a post game in. We got the Wizards talk at the beginning, some great football talk. I'm happy Dugenet was able to call in. I know how busy he was, so I'm happy he was able to squeeze us in. And then to get Brian's take at the very end. Carol, any final thoughts from you before you send us out?
It's been like I say, NFL season coming to an end. We all love our football. Hopefully next year we can have a real training camp, real preseason with this COVID situation being hopefully done and over with. Capital season, just getting underway, preview of the season. We're going to ride it all the way till the wheels fall off, hopefully to another Stanley Cup championship, because we love covering them, to the 2018 season. The Wizards, I don't even know what to say. I love all y'all coverage. Hopefully they can figure it out. Defense has always been their issue since I was following them with the Bullets. So unfortunately, they still carry that along. Make sure you go check out the website, sportsothp.com. You can check out the SportsOTHP apparel. I'm rocking the hoodie. Robbie got the pillow in the background, District of Champions. I got the backdrop, District of Champions. Appreciate all the love and the support. Got a couple of orders in for some of the SportsOTHP apparel stuff. Then we got partnered with Eric Kuz, so you see the nice blue shirt in the background. Got the sweatsuits coming out. Got a whole bunch of stuff in the works. So appreciate all the love and support. You need a new, used, or pre-owned certified vehicle, come holler at me down there, Waldorf Honda, 2450 Crane Highway, Waldorf, Maryland, northbound side across from the Lowe's and the Popeyes. Supposed to be off tomorrow, but I got 2 deals pending tomorrow. So come on down and be number 3, because you know your boy's going to take care of you. Shout out to all the folks that support, all the contributors, all the folks that like it, share it. Check out the YouTube channel, Carol Porter III with 3 eyes. Robbie got his channel. It's all on the page.
Congratulations on hitting your first milestone on your
Oh,
YouTube.
got 100 subscribers. Appreciate it. Tell your folks subscribe. We got the feed live going every Monday night. I got At the Bar Radio going every Sunday night. You see highlight videos. You see some of the beats that I make. I post a whole bunch of stuff on there. So go follow, subscribe, because we're trying to get the DC sports out there on a wider platform, because DC sports are the politics. It's not just a catchphrase.
I want to thank Mark Moore too. He was commenting all night during that football thing, but I was so zoned in I didn't give him a shout out. But Mark is a big supporter, so I want to give him a shout out at the end. He gave some stats and stuff that's in there. He just said congratulations to you as well for the milestone. So thank you, Mark, for giving your thoughts in the comments, and for everybody who is giving their comments all night on the Zoom live feed. We really appreciate people watching the Caps game with us from all the way over across the pond at 2 a.m. So a shout out to all the fans.
No doubt. Appreciate it as always. We'll be back at it next week, as always, bringing you the best DC sports coverage around. DC sports are the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. CP3, live from the lab. Robbie G, live from the man cave. And we out.